She's Trixie, and I'm Sarah, and this is Our Yarn World, a place where we come to share the love of yarn crafts and all that it provides us and what we hope it gives you. We are here on episode
57.
57, yes.
Times 57 today.
It's May the 4th today.
Yeah, May the 4th be with you.
Obviously, you guys are probably going to see this more on the 6th, but as we are recording it, it's May the 4th.
Yes.
A lot of significance to this day for us. My graduation party 8 years ago was on this day, and in the last year on this day we lost my paternal grandmother.
Right.
So
my husband's mom.
Yeah.
So, yep, it's a year today.
But we're coming to share with you today, so we're going to have good, happy times.
Yes.
And I was mentioning to Mom just a couple minutes ago how I kind of was thinking about this earlier this week, and even was thinking about it very much today, about sharing with you guys, even just for like a couple of minutes before we really get into the yarn crafting, what we've been reading outside of our Bible reading, because we obviously share that at the end of the video, but we don't ever talk about just the material we read outside of it. And obviously this might not be an every week segment, but we just kind of figured that maybe we would add it in and just see what you guys think, and maybe you guys can share what you guys are reading at the time.
Yeah.
Because obviously just being able to know and see what everyone's arsenal of what they use to sharpen themselves is pretty cool. And obviously there's more than just one way to be even more
rounded out.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So we just thought that we would try this and see how it goes. And I don't know, it's just kind of like a little mini like show and tell / book club thing that I just wanted to really do, because
in her homeschooling days we had book club, and they would all have to tell they would all have to do a speech on what they were reading. We're kind of just going to implicate that or apply that today. The first, I guess, thing is I like biographies, autobiographies, stuff like that, but I also like to learn what other people have learned. And this is a book by Robert Kiyosaki, and it's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And if you know anything about this guy, he has taught the world how money works. And he doesn't have two dads, but his dad was a highly educated dad who worked in the school system and made good money, but didn't know how to handle it very well. And his rich dad was his friend's dad. And even though he only made it through the 8th grade, he was a very big businessman in Hawaii. So, he's telling the story about how him and his best friend Mike had asked the poor dad about how to make money. And he just said, you got to go out there and make it. Well, as little kids, they literally put that information that the poor dad said into business, making their own nickels. Lead. And when Dad found out about that, he shut it down, because you can't make your own money that way. And they were very disappointed, because that's what poor Dad told him to do. So poor Dad told him, go and ask Mike's dad how to make money. He'd be better at that than I would. And when they went to ask him, he said, give me a couple of days. And when he came back, he was just like, nobody's ever asked me that. I have hundreds of employees, and nobody's ever asked me that question. And he said, I will teach you boys how to make money. And that is the premise of this book. It is teaching me how to think about money We've not been educated on that in the school system or by our parents. The one thing that hit me, that struck me very hard, was that none of us have been taught this in schools or by our parents. So all the government officials who deal with money have not been taught this either. And this is why our system is failing right now.
Yep.
They just don't know what they're doing as far as money goes. And so it's a good read. If you ever get a chance to get this book and you're interested at all in money situations or how to handle money, this is a good book to get and to find out how to think about money.
I have heard about this book. I remember being told that this book is a very good perspective piece on if you education not being able to apply it. Just because you're educated doesn't mean that you're going to be able to apply it, and just because you're not educated doesn't mean that you can't apply what you know.
Yeah.
And so there's this aspect to you are limited by your state of mind.
Yeah.
Or
you're limited by your own thinking.
Yeah. And which kind of segues into what I am reading right now.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to ask real quick, what drew you to this book? Have you heard about it and you just wanted to read it, or was it a recommendation, or?
Yep, Dave Ramsey, his books, I've been reading his books also. The Total Money Makeover, the Financial Piece, books are very, very good as well. And he's a Christian man, so he does it on the side of Christianity. But it's very plain talk, very simple methods, very, your grandma would have taught you this. And he's been recommending that if we wanted to go further, we could read that, so.
Okay, good, awesome. I need help. I don't know how to say that.
I would just put it up to the camera and let them figure it out. I don't know how to say it either.
Okay, we don't know how to say this guy's last name because we're smart people.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, so
and we don't want to botch it.
That's
we don't want to say it wrong.
That's really where I'm at, because I don't like doing that to people. I know how important names are.
Yes.
And that has nothing that I want to act like yeah, I'm not gonna try. Honestly, it's the I that's throwing me off, because it can be Kai, or like Kaya Arama.
Yeah,
Kaya
I wouldn't even. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, I have been going to the library very consistently for the last couple of months, and picking up books.
It's very convenient. We have one next door to us.
Yeah.
Actually, I have one next door, but she comes over frequently.
Yeah. Well, and I was looking in their psychology section, and which is normally riddled with more or less self-help books, but this one caught my eye, and one I actually picked up and I'm going to be reading after I finish this one caught my eye, because these are actually from therapists / psychologists / neuroscientists, people that study behaviors in the brain and brain science, whether it be neurologically or psychologically. And it's been really cool, because I picked up this book. It's called The Stress Solution. It's using empathy and cognitive behavioral therapy to reduce anxiety and develop resilience. I have really been enjoying this book.
Just a little bit further so they can see the name of the author.
This is why I didn't want to say it, because it just has, I don't know how to, but this guy is a clinical psychologist and a chief medical clinical psychology generally actually does a very interesting aspect of research, because they're the ones that kind of are more willing to go in the field, because they kind of want to be able to study things, and then they kind of are like, ooh, let's see if we can apply this. Will this help people? Will this help people? How does this affect because the mind and the brain are not the same thing, but they live in the same space.
Yeah.
And so you can't affect one without affecting the other. And it's just a very interesting science. I was drawn to this because I kind of, I know a little bit about cognitive behavioral therapy, but I've been trying to get better at understanding empathy, because empathy as a whole is not necessarily always, it's in the way that they've expressed it, it's not a feeling.
Right.
It's a cognitive state of mind that you choose to put aside how you're feeling to be objective for the sake of understanding other people's experiences without assuming or putting your own experience on it.
Like not projecting yourself.
You're not projecting at all. You literally step away. You literally, and it's not toxic dropping your emotions. It's literally just being like, I'm going to set my emotions to the side so that I can be a better listener.
Yeah.
So that I am not hearing what they're saying through a lens that distorts their truth and narrative, where I'm not able to hear them for their experience.
Or catch something that they're saying that needs to be heard.
Yes. And they have good practices and they have good ways of expressing this stuff. But this guy has been like explaining different ways to know when you're vulnerable, where you're less likely to be cognitive.
Right.
And this is going to be very easy to find, but right here. In AA, Alcoholic Anonymous groups, they have a practice called HALT, HALT, and it is an abbreviation for hunger, anger, lonely, and tired. And if you have any one of these traits happening, you are more vulnerable to react outside of your cognitive ability to be in control of your emotions.
Right.
These things will inhibit you
Okay.
from thinking correctly. And if you can be self-aware enough to be like, even saying it out loud, that's what's crazy, is that sometimes we can internalize the information, but even saying it out loud, like, I am tired today.
Right.
I didn't get enough sleep. What can I do to not make myself explosive and give myself grace so that I can do this day as functionally as possible, recognizing that I will be tired?
Right.
Saying it out loud to yourself even will calm down things in your brain, where it's like, even if no one else heard you, you heard yourself.
Right.
Because sometimes we don't even listen to ourselves.
Yeah.
And how much that can affect the system.
Right.
Of listening to what your body's telling you.
Right.
Like, just, I don't know. It has been very insightful. And I am really enjoying the journaling that it's requiring you to do, because there's a lot of like negative cognitive processes that can happen that distort the realities, and they're just kind of like there are exercises as to how to change your framework.
Okay.
And they give you just journal entries of like, hey, this is what you can do to practice and change how you perceive things, and like talk to 5 people about how effective you are and whether they feel that you listen to them. And be willing to listen to honest feedback and what can you do, and don't take it personal, because this is an active work of choosing to get better, recognizing that we all get it wrong.
Right.
Because sometimes we all get consumed by what we're going through.
Yeah.
And even just learning to listen to yourself in those times can take away the stress.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's interesting because it's the stress solution is by partially listening to yourself as well as learning to listen to others.
Yeah.
Because
We all need each other.
Because to be able to separate the truth from the feelings
Right.
allows you to be able to understand so that your feelings actually match the severity of the truth to be able to have proper resolution.
Right.
Because if you think without saying and then it causes a feeling, a feeling is how you literally experience your reality, and that will that can determine your behavior.
Right.
It's just really cool. So I have been really enjoying it. I don't really know what this guy's level of faith is, but he kind of has head starters at the beginning of every single chapter, and he has used a Bible verse before.
Well, that's
So,
cool.
so I don't know what his faith is, but he's used like Shakespeare and different old philosophers stuff. But I do believe I remember a. Oh.
My frustration just came out there.
I've seen a header for a Bible verse. So I don't know whether it was just something he was able to resonate with, or whether it was a whether he actually believes in it. But I can appreciate that no matter what, if you have most of are you okay?
Yeah. Oh, just one of those days, folks.
Okay. It's just one of those things where I've noticed that even with books like what you're reading, books like what I'm reading, if there is a moral attribute to what they're saying, in some way you have heard it in a Bible, but this is a way for us to be able to understand it outside of just the trained black and white, like, hey, this is what it is. But this is a practical application. Right. This is a practical application.
Right.
And there's something to benefit from it, and just being able to be like, do I want to take this? Is this something that I feel is going to benefit me?
Right.
And so I just really like having the opportunity to have always a different perspective, and someone who has lived a life that I might be able to benefit, knowing their journey. Because literally a book allows you to be able to have an infinite amount of perspectives.
Right.
That can really change your course as to how you view everything.
Right. And that's, I don't know. The growling noise was just because my husband walked in while we were filming, and he's home today, which I'm not used to. So that's neither here nor there, but I really didn't want him to walk in while we were filming, and it happened anyway. So, and the laughing part was I picked up this ball of yarn, and I'm thinking, our channel is called our Yarn World, and yarns are also stories, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why I started laughing, because it was just like, well, that just came to me.
The irony.
So, yeah. So, segueing, I have 3 blankets started. 3, because I keep running out of yarn. So I'm going to show you what I'm working on, and this is part of it. So I have a bulky blanket going on here of all different kinds of yarn, all different, and it's stuff that I'm getting from the thrift store, and it's nothing that I would buy normally, but it's going together really, really nicely. I love the blue. The blue was something that I started with, and I even told Sarah when I was first starting this, I love this blue. I just love the tones in it, and the red too. But then I have black with gold specks in it, white, a little bit of navy, but then there's black with silver specks in it, some tan, and I really wasn't thrilled with this color at first, but then as I worked with it, it was like, oh, that's kind of bringing out some of this silver and gold. Pink that has it's really kind of that fluffy yarn that you work with, the fluffy blanket kind. The red is a ribbon yarn, and this yellow has all kinds of specks in it. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just really all speckled with extra yarns. And
loose fibers.
Yeah, and loose fibers. And then the next one's going to be this very thick multi-tonal color. And I'm just going to put that into it. But that's one that I'm working on. The other one, I think I had mentioned this, was one that I'm doing my regular way with 2 yarns at a time, doing the half double crochet with a 10mm hook, but it's with homespun yarn and white. And homespun is very, I don't know how you even characterize this. Up and down, up and down, up and down.
It's braided.
It's just twisted a certain way.
It's like a braided yarn, so you have like you have a small thread strand that is right there, that is key. That if these fibers were without that structure of the strand winding around it, it would be loose, and the fibers would break and snap. So they have this wrapped around it so it stays constructive and productive.
But it's on its own. It's very hard to find the stitches when you're just working with it on its own. With this white, it's a lot easier for me to find the stitches. And I really never liked working with homespun before this,
but honestly,
I do like it with the second yarn with it.
It honestly works
and
well.
I've got 5 different colors going through this, and I think they're going very well, but that's all I had. And so I've got to go get some more, and when I went to the thrift store this time, they didn't have any. So I'm still looking for that. So I had to start another blanket. And I do have plenty of just regular 4-ply yarn, acrylic yarn, and I can finish this one. But these are going to be in greens and purples. But I started with a variegated, and started with like a Christmas green, and then went to a light green, and it's still working with the variegated, but it's really nice because I know that I'm going to be able to finish this one. But Sarah was able to order some stuff, and when she did, they offered her some extra stitch markers, and I wanted to show you what I do with them, which is, let me see if I can get this off here real quick. I put them on a safety pin so that I don't know if this is going to show.
Bring it down. Right, there you go. You're good.
So that says Crochet Queen. But I just put it on the end of a safety pin, and I'm going to show you how I do this, because this may help some of you when you're working with your yarn to capture, oh boy, I'm not at the right angle, I don't think, if I was to do it this way. So I put it into the strands that I have at the end.
Yarn.
Yep.
The working loop.
And then I put it, boy, I'm just going to have a hard time with this because I'm backwards.
I got it.
Just see if I can do it this way. So I have it in the loop, and then
You put it into
I put it into the first loop, the second, coming back out, and the third one. And then I don't know if that even showed. And then I stitch or put it together, and it holds all of those So it's not going anywhere. This yarn will not go anywhere, and it keeps my stitches there. And I do that with all of my blankets. Wherever I am in it, it holds my stitches. The safety pin does, but I also tend to have something hanging on it, just like my zippers, just to make it easier to find. And this one is one that Sarah ordered for me, and it says Nana.
Hearts on it.
I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that, but it says Nana, but I put it on the end of a safety pin. And that's just how I keep my stitches together, and I can find the safety pin with the dangle on it, and putting it through the 3 last stitches that I went through, it just seems to hold the stitch a lot better for me, and they don't go anywhere. And because it's a long safety pin, I can go through 3. If you only wanted to go through 2, that would be fine also, but I think going through 3 for me works. So I just wanted to give you that tip while we were showing these blankets off. And I have one more of those. It came on this cute key ring, and this one is, of course, just says yarn. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it, but there you go. And I love this. And so Sarah's going to show you what she got, but it's just so cute. I just love this key ring. I love the dangles. I love the words on them. Just everything. Just so nice. So she got something really special.
Okay, so just so I understand the safety pin thing, I think what, just so that I know that I heard it correctly, the safety pin, you like it because not only does it hold the working yarn so that it doesn't unravel stitches, but you can feed the pin, the needle that is not fully clasped yet, into the prior stitches before closing it, so that the pin is also not just likely to open back up and just hang there because it's going to get snagged on stuff. It's laying flat along the seams, and the dangle is what catches your eye to let you know where it is.
And you're weaving it in and out of your last 3 stitches.
So it keeps it tight, it keeps everything there, the tension won't get moved or anything on the yarn. And it just allows, and like I noticed, it all is horizontally like laying flat. You don't have this honking.
No.
I don't know. I mean, not that stitch holders are meant to be big, but they generally are very loopy. And in my experience, they have fallen off even if they're pins.
Yeah.
I've had them do that. So this might be a little bit more of it might just be in actuality, just some office supply, but in some way you can utilize them for these day-to-day crafts just as much. That you don't have to go get something special if you don't have it.
Right. And that's my whole thing is most people have safety pins in their house.
Yeah.
And it's an easy enough thing to use, and you just put your little fun stuff at the end where it curlicues. So,
because I know my mom's really excited about this.
I am, because they're so pretty.
I'm trying to get this all lined up correctly.
You can hear them.
Oh, I recognize this one was not put back in the order. My bad. Just a minute, everyone.
I'm just going to show you the pretty little bag while she's doing that. This is what everything came in, and it's just beautiful. It's a little purple bag, cinch bag with butterflies, silver butterflies all over it. Okay. It's just gorgeous.
Okay, so I'm on Pinterest all the time. I'm always sending my mom different things. I'm always, like, that's just a downtime
Hitting up ideas.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling, pinning things all the time. It allows me to constantly be in like that creative aspect of my brain. And I saw this keychain that had what, and I ordered it, that it was an ad for it, a link to actually purchase it on Etsy. And I'll get to what the item is, but I just like to mention Etsy is a great platform for creators.
Oh yeah.
And that I was more than willing to make this purchase, even though it was quite expensive, just because even if I could have done it by myself, why not just support another creator?
Yes,
You know?
exactly.
And she did a really good job, and there was good tracking information, and amazingly enough, this was a creator from overseas in the UK, so it didn't take really that long for her to do this, but because of that, I got some special hook sizes, which is where I'm going into. I got a keychain with crochet hooks, and they were by design. She cut them right where the cinch is, where you normally put your thumb and your forefinger, with the measurements. And I literally have a 4mm, a 4.5, a 5, a 5.5, a 6, a 6.5, and a 7. And I feel like there was a 6, a 6.5, and a 7. So it goes from 4 to 7, all by half sizes. And those are, some of these are some that I know we don't have over here.
Right.
Without having to special order them. They're generally not in stores.
Sevens you hardly ever see.
And she put little like jewelry claw hooks on it, so I can take I have these on now on my keychain, but I can literally take them off without having to undo the swirl. And if I need a hook, I know that it's not a full handle, but I can utilize the hook if I really need it in a pinch.
It's so fun.
And all the edges are smoothed at the tip, and it's just, like I said, you can just buy these, but I got the special order where I was able to get the fun little flower star, what was it? The keychain circle with all the little different stitch markers, with one being a skein of yarn, one being the crochet queen. You could have it be knitting queen if you wanted to, and they also had the one where you could personalize it. And because I knew all I was really wanting was these, I just chose to make those so that my mom could have them, because she uses them more often. They came wrapped up in a nice tissue paper, purple tissue paper, in the cinch bag with a little card for what she normally does. And I really want this to focus so that you're able to see this information. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. You have one job, camera. There we go. Her name is Katie Belcher, Belcher. She does beatific jewelry. Yeah. Normally she does more of these charms and jewelry and bracelets and stuff, but she does do this fun crafting work where she's able to make crafting items into either like this, where I'm putting it on my keychain and can use it semi-practically, or just for the aesthetics of I'm a crocheter and I really like this. Yeah. And
just to have the hooks with you whenever you walk out of the house, because you got them with the keys. Yeah. It's just kind of awesome.
It's really practical for someone that does this all the time. Mm-hmm. And again, it can simply just be a really decorative craft keychain item
Yeah.
that you can just have, or even make into like a necklace thing on a lanyard or something, where it's just like a jingle that you have. But I really enjoy it. I really this was a purchase I don't regret, and I really hope that some of you might check her out. She does have a lot of different things where she has only 3 of them, not the stages. Like, you can I do believe you could special order the ones that you actually use the most, instead of just getting this broad range. But because I really was enjoying the fact that I could get a broad range, I wanted that.
Well, and we both tend to bring our crochet and knitting,
everywhere,
wherever we go.
Yeah.
So if we're going to be going out of the house for hours on end, we're going to be bringing our stuff with us.
Yeah, and there's an aspect to, sometimes I feel weird bringing my crochet hooks into a store where I'm sitting there being like, I'm trying to make sure I match the right hook, and I remember it sometimes more by color of hook than I do by actual size.
Right.
And now I will always have them with me.
Right.
Now their color scheme is a little different over there, but I'd be able to be like, oh no, I did use the 5, or I did use the 7 or whatever. Like, I have it as a reference, and I don't know, I'm really quite happy with the purchase and just being able to sponsor another.
We're going to put the information in the description area.
And I might be able to find where I found the link on Pinterest as well.
Okay, that'd be good.
Though I could just give you guys the direct link from when I had it on Etsy, so I don't really know what you want, but
something easy.
Yep. When my mom saw, speaking of keychains, after we turned off the camera, my mom literally was like, I want one of those lip balm keychain holders.
Last week when we were announcing Crystal, after we turned off the camera, I'm like, I want one of those lip balm things on my keychain.
And so I made one in a maroon color for my mom. And so that's what she's now has on her keychain. So I had to make her give that up to be able to show as part of my show and tell this week.
Well, when I go to my friend's house on Fridays, either she comes to my house or I go to her house, and we do crafting together. And I bring my canvas bag, and if I just throw my lip balm into my bag, I'm never going to be able to find it. And when you really need it. So this will be able to hang on the outside of my bag, and I can find it a lot easier that way. So
now, I know that I've kind of mentioned this in the past, but I have gotten into a bit of a habit of being able to know that if I'm making something for one of my kids, Olivia can be my eldest, and she's obviously my girl, is a little bit easier to know exactly what to make. But as Canyo's been getting older, his personality has started to take shape and be much more noticeable. And I recently, within the last couple of months, made Olivia 2 octopuses. One that was reversible, and one was a
plushie.
Just a plushie. And she really loves them. And she kept telling me, Mommy, you need to make Canyo an octopus. And I was like, I don't mind making him something, but he's not gonna like the octopus. And so I just
he's
kind of
very
waited.
much into yellow.
And
Yellow anything.
Yellow's his favorite color, and so I was trying to figure out what to make him. And all of a sudden, it came to me. He loves Baby Shark, and Baby Shark, if you don't know, is a kind of like a nursery kids song that literally just talks about a shark family, and you have hand movements with it, and it kind of just was like, it's just a fun song, and obviously with emotions with it, and how catchy it is for most kids, they really like it. But they've made what the song is called Baby Shark. The baby shark that is now a main character in like kid shows or even books or whatever is a yellow shark, and then you have the mommy shark that's pink and the daddy shark that's blue. And he's really been like, I really like Baby Shark and just really into Baby Shark things. And I realized that I could just make him a Baby Shark. It's yellow. It's something that even Olivia is not going to gravitate towards because it's a yellow thing. And he'd been begging me to make him something. Like the last couple of fills I've had to do for orders, having to tell him he couldn't have that gnome last week. He was just so frustrated that I wasn't making anything for him that he could personally just have. And so the other day I told my mom I need to make him a Baby Shark, and she's like, okay, we'll go see if we have some yellow. Grabbed the yellow. He was super excited just to see yellow yarn. And that night I just sat there and just started the process of a general shape that I thought would work. Made the fin, stuffed it, then made the exterior fins, and then for all the detail work I used fleece. Felt. I used felt. And some embroidery yarn. And so this is what came out of my head. There's no pattern for this, so I can't link anything. But I made a little
Baby Shark.
Little plushie.
And he loves it.
Yep. The Baby Shark has a yellow belly. I attempted a mouth with a tongue and some teeth, the nostrils and the eyes.
And if you even pretend to act like you're going to take it from him, mine.
Yeah, he brings it up to his neck and he's like, no, it's mine. And one of the first things he did yesterday was, Mommy, mine. You made it for me. I wasn't able to catch that, but like
Right.
he has been chomping at the bit. Like, it only took me like 2-3 days to make this thing, and it would have been within the day if I had been able to, but I didn't have all the materials for the
have all the
details.
felt for it. Yeah.
And I literally, as I was making, he's like, are you done yet? You done yet? You done yet? Because he knew with the yellow coming out that it had to be his. He just knew. And he's like, oh, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's me's, it's mine, it's me's, Mommy's, it's mine, and Baby Shark, Baby Shark, Baby Shark. And I finally put the last couple of pieces on it, and I had him help me pick out some of the last things that were required to be able to make it. And I cut the yarn, and like I said, he's been kind of like always right at my side, chomping at the bit, waiting for me to have it done. And when I was kind of like placed it down, he's like, oh, is that mine? And I'm like, uh-huh. And he grabbed it and he just brought it up here and he was hugging it and he's like, thank you, Mommy. Oh, thank you, Mommy. I like it. Because he's 2, so he doesn't have a great vocabulary. But he's like, it's mine. You made it for me. It's mine. I like it. I love it. It's mine. Not allowed to have it. My Baby Shark. I hug it. And I know it's not big, but the fix that he needed something immediately is
and it fits his hand.
And it fits his little hand. Is solved. And now if I want to make him something a little bit more bigger and constructed like I've done with Olivia,
Right.
I have the ability to do so, knowing that the fix of needing this bigger
Something for him to hold
is out of his system.
Yeah.
And now I kind of have a little bit more of a premise of things that he might like, because the Baby Shark has a whole family and I could do all the rest of the family members if I really wanted to. I'm not really sure if I want to, because again, when you do this out of just doing it, you're not actually doing a pattern and you don't actually remember how you've made it.
That would be me. Unless I'm writing it down, I'm not going to remember what I did.
If I start writing down the patterns, I literally
lose focus.
Not only I lose focus, I lose traction. It's
Yes.
like I stop doing it. And so, yeah.
What you need is a little secretary next to you. You do it, and then you tell her, and she writes it down.
I could just record myself,
There
like
you
even
go.
an audio recording.
Yeah. Even on your phone, yeah. And then you could write it down after you're done. That way
So
you're
that
not...
my hands are always actively working and
Yeah.
I don't lose my traction.
That's a good idea.
I have other things I'm actively working on, but these were like my completed objects, and I had the show and tell, and I wanted to introduce the idea of the books, and I know we're already running late, so we'll just move forward.
We're gonna do the Bible verse of the week. So it is, keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Turn away from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. And that's found in Psalm 34, verses 13 and 14, and the ESV, which is English Standard Version. So keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Don't be telling lies, speaking evil of other people. Turn away from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. Seek peace and pursue it. When you're doing good, you're turning away from evil and you're doing good. You're 180 degrees, turning about face, repenting of your sin. You are doing good and seeking peace and pursuing it. When I heard that, I was just like, wow, people can pursue peace and seek peace and pursue it, actually actively go after it. And I'm just like, yeah, that sounds good to me. Mm-hmm. Right in this moment in time, I don't know anybody that's not seeking peace or wanting peace in their life or in somebody else's life, like we're in Ukraine or whatever. Mm-hmm. If we were to actively pursue it, just imagine what this world would look like. So I just wanted to speak a couple of words about that, and it just, I also had written down, write out your fears, bring them into light, and they will flee. If you keep your tongue from evil, you're not speaking deceit, you're turning away from evil, you're doing good, and you're seeking peace, writing out your fears shouldn't be that hard. And if you write out your fears, then you're bringing them into the light, getting them out of the darkness of your thoughts and your mind, and they will flee from you. You won't have to worry about those anymore, and they won't be a fear. So I just wanted to bring that into your thought system, and we'll let Sarah talk about what she thinks about this verse.
It reminds me somewhat of the book that I'm reading, The Stress Solution, because it talks about the aspect of there are very simple ways, even in how we talk and process even our own form of communication, that has it adds up over time how it lands on our psyche.
Yeah.
So like the value of the difference between evaluative talk compared to descriptive talk. I know I've talked to you about that. Like the very difference of, if you say that something is good, then there is a narrative that something is bad. If you say that there's a narrative of something being tall, then there's a narrative that something will be short. And there's like this, if you praise one aspect, then the connotation in your speak that there has to be a nature that there's something wrong with it if it does not meet that criteria. And not to say that there isn't a level of that in everything, but to use that in everything that you do in your life has these small levels of pressure where you're expressing and judging everything. We judge everything that we see when we speak that way.
Right.
It can stress ourselves out to not be like, okay, well, there's no solution in that. We're just giving it a finality without actually seeking a solution. And there are solutions in the way that we can just easily just describe what we're seeing, taking away the feelings, and not being without feeling, but just it's just like what I was telling about earlier. If we can take the time to step aside and do our best to understand what we're seeing, and even just repeating what someone else has said to you to make sure that you have fully got what they said
Right.
will eliminate a narrative that was never true that you just possibly took wrong and could be speaking a lie about that you don't even know. There's an intentionality behind deceit, and I do realize that, but there is a level of the small things that we don't even realize that we do that impacts others in a way that it won't impact us because it doesn't actually affect us the way that we talk about other people. But it does if it means it's at the cost of a relationship.
Right.
And just, I think that there's a lot to be said that kind of reflects on here of keep your tongue from evil. Be mindful of what you're saying.
Yes.
And your lips from speaking deceit. Speaking the truth in everything that you're doing is not always a moral issue. It's literally just knowing what you're speaking or understanding the narrative of what's being spoken.
Right.
Cutting straight to the core. Nothing should be an essay. You should be able to say most things within a couple of sentences.
Right. Let your yes be yes and your no be no.
Turn away from evil and do good. If you can be self-aware enough to be mindful of your flaws, like I said, even like the whole HALT thing. If you know you're going to be more inhibited because you're hungry, lonely, tired,
Right.
Whatever, alone,
Right.
then these are things that maybe we should be practicing. Hey, even saying it out loud. I know that this is my reality right now. So I'm going to do my best to change that reality.
Right.
If I know this isn't working for me, I'm going to do something better.
Right.
If I know that my speak has been negative, how can I speak positively that's not just over optimistic?
Right.
It's realistic,
Right.
but also not just being pessimistic.
Right.
Seek peace and pursue it. Not everything needs to be stressful. Sometimes we have to make the right choices for ourselves and not let what other people's version of success drive our lives.
Right.
There's been a really interesting narrative in the book and everything that I've been even watching, and even stuff that my parents have been watching on YouTube, where like I walk in and watch them listening to one of their vlogs of one of their favorite channels, is that if we're stuck doing something we don't actually like to do and we force it, whether it be a group of friends that we hang around that we feel like we're obligated to be around, even if it's toxic family members that we feel that we have to because they're family and there's no boundaries that are allowed to be set, if that's your work environment,
Right.
if it's, and I'm not even saying this to be mean, if it's a church that you're at right now that you're questioning what they're saying on the pulpit and how they are doing things, if there is something that's not settling right with you and you're ignoring it,
Right.
you're setting yourself up with not being honest with yourself.
Yeah. And if you can't be honest with yourself, there isn't nothing.
You can't get peace.
No, you're not going to get peace.
And I really believe that peace is something that we have, but we have to actively use to practice.
Right.
I feel like God, that's something that we have that we're not going to be able to necessarily see it outside of ourselves, but it's something that we can seek and exercise by setting those boundaries, by understanding how our talk influence our mental selves, our physical selves, our lives,
Right.
and what we can do to better those things.
Right.
And I think that God really doesn't want us to be stuck.
No.
There's nothing in me that thinks that God's just over here, not without us wanting to have a better life.
Right. Right.
And I don't know, I would really just encourage you guys, if there's anything that like for you that you feel that you're trying to navigate as to like, this is what I want for my life, but I feel like there's an obstacle, there are ways to be able to process those thoughts. And just, if you're trying to navigate how this might apply to your life without it just being a simple analogy of like, hey, don't do bad and do good, there are ways to do that, and there's resources and there's exercises that can be done, and there's a lot of
Books to be read.
books to be read, Bible studies.
Yep.
There's a resource. Don't feel like you're just stuck to have to live a miserable life just because it's someone else's dream that you're living.
Yeah. Live your own dream.
So we love you guys, and we really hope that maybe our edition today goes well. Just let us know how you think about us sharing about what we like to read on our off time.
And share your books.
And we would love to hear what you have on your nightstand as well. We love you guys, and we hope that, as always, that you will stitch your way
To mental health.